Yeah? But you need to be under my table near my feet. See, you can be quiet.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone is here. I welcome everyone to our press conference, and Michael has a statement. Our superintendent of schools, Dr. Frechette, has a statement that he'd like to read, and then I would like to conclude with our brief statement. If Michael could read the statement, please.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Nasser. As you know, there was a meeting at Farm Hill last night with parents, administrators, staff, board members, and members of the public in attendance. There were a number of concerns raised at this meeting. I want to make clear that I have directed all administrative staff in the district to cease immediately using timeout rooms for students who do not have specialized, legally created IEPs or 504 plans. In addition, I want to emphasize that timeout rooms are used with a very small, specialized population with behavioral, emotional, or other support needs. Finally, I want to verify that the 2 rooms that have been previously used for timeout purposes at Farm Hill will no longer serve this purpose. A new suite area on the 2nd floor of the building will be modified for use as a safe area by students with IEPs or 504 plans if necessary for their safety and the safety of other students and staff.
Now, we have copies of the statement, and if you didn't get one, we'll make sure you would get a copy of the statement. But we're not going to engage in question and answer session. We feel that last night was a very long evening. This statement represents our first step in resolving the concerns that we know so far, and we can plan to continue on working out solutions with the parents and staff at Farm Hill School. And we thank you very much for coming this afternoon.
A lot of confusion on what IEPs are and which children use the room or not, and there's been a lot of discrepancies. If we know that this room is now closed and they will create a room that is safe for these children, it'll make it a lot safer for everyone.
Were there a lot of kids that don't have the IEPs being put in that room that you know of?
After last night's meeting, I was told yes. From what I understood last night after listening to the heart-wrenching stories, yes. And my children have IEPs, but they do not have behavioral issues. So some of the statements last night saying children with IEPs could be in that room, that means that my children could have been in that room as well.
Can you explain what an IEP is?
An IEP is basically if a student requires any additional education services, whether it be reading or math. And that is when you would meet with the entire staff of the school and they come up with a plan for your child.
And what's the difference now? They say there's this new room that they're going to use will be only used for students that, and he used a technical term. How would you describe the students who will be using the room?
I think I have faith in the state that the state's going to come in and the state's going to make sure that these rooms are safe. The rooms, hopefully the walls will be padded, and then we'll have the pane glass on there as well, so then that way everyone can be able to watch what's going on in there so these children are safe.
People were describing the room as jail. A parent described it as looking like a jail. Do you think this will make them feel more at ease?
I do. I think it's going to take a lot of time for these students to feel a little bit more comfortable. The students in general in the entire school. It's not good for anyone to see that. It's not good for the students that were in it. It just wasn't a good plan.
It sounds like the solution they came up with kind of is a win-win for everybody.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't think, like I said, I don't think anyone, unfortunately, if you're in crisis, then you need to have a room that you need to be able to go in and be able to release that stress or anger, but I don't think that room was proper.
Playing devil's advocate, what are some of the ways that staff could deal with people who do have behavioral issues?
Unfortunately, I'm not really sure. I know that everyone's parenting styles are different, and I know that everyone's child is different, and everyone's situation is different. So I think it depends on, the parent and the issues.
You say heart-wrenching. What was one example last night that made you just not happy?
A student and actually stood up and talked about how difficult it is. And my children come home and tell me how hard it is to listen to these children scream and kick in the door. And to me, it's like they want out. And I think these children just need to be loved, and they need that support. And I think that, if they're not getting it anywhere else, they need to be getting it at school as well. I know that I love my children, and I love those children in that school. I see them in the grocery store, and they say, Mrs. Dudley, and that makes me feel great.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you.
Was it ever appropriate, you think, to lock kids in a room like that?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't lock my kids in a room. I would not lock my kids in a room at home. The thing is if DCF could take my children away for locking my child in a room, then they should have been in there as well.